Oh, there comes Patsy. Great. Okay, hi, everybody. I'd like to call to order the City of Norwalk Public Library Board of Directors, April 13th, 7 p.m. via Zoom. I am going to make a motion that we approve the minutes at the next meeting. I can speak for myself. I haven't had a chance to fully read them yet. Any discussion about that, or?
I'll move to table the minutes. This is Alex.
A second.
Okay, great. Are there any members of the public here tonight who would like to say something?
There were none who signed up.
Okay, and any additions to the agenda before we move on? I'd just like to say we're going to reorder things a little bit, just for our guests. And so why don't we start with Amanda talking about the Sono Library renovation project.
Perfect. So as you know, we have gone to both council meetings. The project went out to bid back in February. Our lowest bidder was Titan Enterprises, and we have gone through both councils for approval for funding to award the project to them for construction. I believe it was for around $314,000 for construction. So we are in the process of getting the formal notification to Titan, beginning the contract process with them, and then very shortly being able to schedule the kickoff meeting and getting construction underway. So that's sort of a high level look at where we are right now. And I didn't know if anybody had any particular questions on the packets that were distributed to you.
And just so everyone knows, in the packet is the contract that I wanted everyone to have a look at before signing off on it. Also, we did get the check today from SNU. So they hand delivered it and it will go to City Hall tomorrow. So that's for the lighting portion of it.
Can you just remind us how much that check was for?
$91,041.
Great.
And I'm just
Thank you to
I do know
SNU.
it was 91, but I think it was 041. As a matter of fact, I can just pull it up. But yeah, so really excited about that.
Could I suggest that the board send a letter of appreciation to the second taxing district for this donation and appreciation
For sure.
Yeah, I'll
from our
second
board?
that.
From our
I'll second
board.
that. I'll second that.
I'm happy to write that letter.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think maybe it would be great if our representatives from District B were signed also the letter. So
Who are those people? Do we have those folks? I see one of them smiling.
Well, I want it to be obvious it comes from the whole board, you know, supporting the South.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, my thought is when you then add those representatives from the district, it distorts the strength of our gratefulness. You know, they're sort of thanking themselves a little bit, you know. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I agree.
My intent is that we are very grateful and we want to thank them. So that's my intent.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah, and just confirming it was 91,041.
So I'll go ahead and write that letter and send it to the board as well.
Thanks, Moyna.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Amanda?
So our start date, and we're gonna have a shovel in the ground opportunity kind of thing, or some publicity.
Of course.
Yes, so I think start date will depend on the contract getting signed. And then we're gonna hit the ground running as soon as we have that go.
So in the next couple of weeks.
That's the hope, yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yes.
Amanda, thank you so much for being with us. I know you had a full day, so we'll give you back your evening.
All right, well, thank you so much, and I look forward to starting the project with everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good
Right.
night.
You too, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Just while we're on that, Sherelle, have we figured out the plan for moving the books and all of that? I don't know if that maybe you can give us an update on that.
So I think the staff, because with the book count, I think the staff can move them and we can have them in our auditorium.
Good.
Okay. Sounds great. And then the library closure will it close? We're not closing, right? Or are we closing?
No, we're gonna keep the children's room open.
Okay.
And if I can figure out a way, I'd love to, at least have people be able to come in, to get the new books.
Okay.
The adults.
Yeah. There's that little room on the side too.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
On the first floor, is that what you're talking about? That
In
room?
the landing, right in the
Yeah.
little landing
Yeah, yeah.
where the passports used to be done too. Okay, so Sherelle, do you want to introduce Library Without Borders?
Yes, yes, yes. As soon as Nina smiles, as soon as Venetia smiles, there you go. I love that energy. So I am so excited to have these wonderful young women with us. Nina Safane and Venetia McGee. They will be with us for a year. They have already started some interviews with the community. I got word back that some of them went, well, the ones I heard about went very, very well. They loved your energy. They loved the fact that you all were genuine, and they love the questions, that you've asked. So they will walk us through the process. Basically, what they're doing is they're going to help us identify ways to partner with other community agencies to find the people that we're not serving. Because obviously, if we knew where they were, we'd be serving them. So they're going to help us find some of our hidden folks. So we've talked about the fact that everybody is not on technology. Everybody's not on the internet. So how do we get to the people who are not, on our website or not getting our e-blast? How do we get to those people? Children's have identified that since COVID, it's been hard to get the elementary school children in for programs. The younger people, the preschoolers are in, but it's hard to get those in. And then our adult department identified that some of the elderly after COVID prefer, Zoom for programs. So they're going to help us, and then they're going to also tell us what we don't know. So without further ado, I will let you all take it away.
Thanks, Sherelle. I appreciate the introduction and of course, all the kind words. We are equally as excited to be working with you all. I'm just going to share my screen if that's okay. And we'd love to just give you a brief overview of the organization as a whole. And then Venetia is going to share a little bit more about our partnership with you guys specifically. Okay, great.
Okay.
So just a little bit of background here. Libraries Without Borders is part of a global NGO, Bibliothèques Sans Frontières. The global NGO works all over the world, essentially closing information access gaps in places where people are struggling to get critical resources and critical information for a wide range of reasons. In the US specifically, we focus our partnerships on libraries and library systems as a whole. As Sherelle said, really thinking about who does a library already serve, who does it not serve, and how do we change that dynamic? That process really involves a reimagining of what a library can be, where it can be, and again, how those resources and services really effectively, most effectively reach the communities that they're working within. We have been operating for about 8 years in cities and states all over the country. We've done a number of initiatives, projects, pop-ups, and other things that have changed this sort of dynamic between who a library currently serves and who they might serve in the future. So just that's a little bit about who we are and what we've done in the past. Happy to go into more depth, but more important than what we've done is what we are about to do with you all. We are partnered right now with the Connecticut State Library. They selected 6 library locations around the state with varying demographics, varying geographies, different approaches to outreach already. And Norwalk is one of our lucky 6. And so we have the privilege and pleasure of spending the next year, as Sherelle said, also working together on this initiative.
Hi, everyone. I am Venetia, and I'm the program manager with Libraries Without Borders. Part of what Nina was sharing and Sherelle shared about what we do is connect library systems like the Connecticut State Library with community organizations, community members, in order to change library outreach. And that looks a lot of different ways depending on what the community needs, and every community needs something different. But we use our understanding of the community based on conversations and interviews and our own data collection in order to leverage assets that exist already, increase sustained, meaningful library engagement. So those who are unserved or underserved in the communities, connecting their ability to access the library. And overall, this allows us to increase the access to those critical resources and services that you offer, and to expand those community connections. This year, in 12 months, we have 5 different phases of our partnership. Right now, we're in the data collection phase. So what that means for you all and for the Norwalk community is we're having interviews with some of you and community stakeholders, library staff, and community members. A part of that is really just understanding the community, because we are outsiders. We don't live in Norwalk, and it's best for us to understand from those who live and work in the community. Once we have gathered data, we'll analyze that data. We'll go through and have a better understanding of what the needs are, what resources are available, if there are places to expand or create new avenues for connection. And in phase 3, together with the library leadership, we'll begin to design programs that really connect with what the community needs and allow the library to expand that connection into the community. In phase 4 and 5, we're implementing and evaluating that program that we've designed in collaboration with the library leadership, and making sure that it is a sustainable plan, something that not only lasts for the rest of our partnership, but well beyond our partnership. And that's a huge component of what we do. We want it to live in the library and community, and not just with our partnership together. As our aims state, our deliverables, a lot of what myself, Nina, and Sherelle were stating are things that we want to bring to the community, and what we are showing that we're going to bring into the community. So again, the increased use of library services and resources, speaking to unserved or underserved community members, deepening relationships between community partner organizations, between the library and between community members themselves, and increasing access in a sustainable way to those resources and services.
Thanks, Benicia. So I also realized as you introduced yourself, I didn't even introduce myself. Terrell introduced me, but I'm Nina Sapane, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Libraries Without Borders. So that's the summary of what the partnership's going to look like over the next year and what we intend to do together. As Venetia shared, we are very early stage in the data collection component. So we've actually already spoken to a couple of you, which is great. And as Sherelle said, already begun conversations with the community as a whole. So would love to answer your questions. I see Alex already has them, which is great. Let us know what else we can share with you all.
Thank you. It's very interesting. It sounds very positive. A couple questions. What were the other communities in Connecticut that were recommended by the state library?
Yeah, so the other libraries are East Hartford, Norwich, the Otis Library, Willimantic, West Haven, and Falls Village.
I didn't even know Falls Village existed as a library.
Yeah, the David M. Hunt Library. It's
Yeah.
All right.
Small town community.
very small. Yeah.
Okay. Second, is there some kind of agreement or contract or memorandum of understanding that the state library supposedly sends to Norwalk to consider and approve?
That's a great question. Our contract is with the state library system itself. I don't know if the state library has an MOU with you all directly about this. Sherelle?
They have a very general MOU. Just pulling it up. I actually sent it to Lamont. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, it was a very general MOU.
Well, maybe you could circulate that. This is a very good program. I didn't hear about it until 2 hours ago. We've never had a chance to look at it, MOU, and
I thought that I
And,
had sent this out a while ago when we first were notified that the state signed a contract.
I
When-
believe you did. I remember when you did that. Yes,
I
you did.
got it. Thank you.
I apologize for not,
Mhm.
we just got this stuff for tonight a few hours ago, so I didn't know,
This was a while ago. This wasn't even this week. This probably was maybe 2 weeks or so ago. Or maybe even
Okay.
3.
Cheryl, do you plan to submit the MOU to this board for approval?
Yes, sir, I can.
And again, it sounds terrific. So will you be doing like interim reports or give us feedback that we can use as we go along to improve our outreach and programming?
Yeah, it's an extremely collaborative and iterative process. So there'll be multiple phases where we're going to bring back what it is that we've found. And then as Venetia shared, really co-design whatever strategy or program or intervention that we're going to pilot. We want to make sure that that's something that there's buy-in for with the library team itself and the community as a whole as well. So right after this data collection phase, we'll do a lot of data analysis and be able to bring that back to you all before we actually move into any kind of implementation.
Great,
And then
thank you.
yeah, sorry, one more thing, as Venetia shared too, there'll be cycles of evaluation as well. So, we will know within a period of time, depending on what it is that we roll out with everyone, whether that's several weeks or several months. We'll have some data to share back about its efficacy, and then we either continue, grow, expand, or change course, depending on what the data tells us.
Great, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks. Patsy?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to meet with Nina yesterday, I guess it was, anyway, which was great. And I didn't think to ask you this question. We talked about the multiple library systems in Norwalk, the city public library, Norwalk and South Norwalk. Are you also interfacing with the Rowayton and the East Norwalk Library in this program? Or is it just our
It's just the
system?
Norwalk Public Library.
Okay. That adds a layer of complexity because the other two libraries are located in other areas of the city. But so I think that's probably unusual for you.
Yeah.
But you should be, you should be cognizant of it and how that affects what we do in comparison to what they have to offer that we might not offer, and vice versa.
Yeah,
And,
that's
and
great.
and the other thing I thought of a lot more afterwards is really an outreach to our senior citizen facilities to see what we can do, because they're spread out over a sizable area of the geographic area of Norwalk, so that we could get more feedback. Because when Sherelle mentioned, a lot of people, aged people, don't come to a lot of social media and depend on other ways to get their information. But
Right.
I'm delighted we were chosen. It's a great opportunity for us.
Me too.
Laurel?
So
Yeah,
I
this
know
is really exciting. Thank you so much. I am curious if you can tell us just a couple of examples of things that you have done with other libraries to create programming or to do outreach.
Yeah, the most famous, and I use that word very lightly, we're not very famous at all, but the most popular sort of example is called the Wash and Learn Initiative, where we think about bringing the resources of the library to a place that people are already spending time, in that instance, in a number of communities around the country, starting in the Bronx, and then it developed in Oakland, San Antonio, Baltimore, a number of other places, bringing the resources and services of the library to a laundromat. Again, people are already spending several hours of time there. It's idle time in a lot of instances. It could be families there at the same time, and there's a real opportunity to get resources and services to folks by meeting them where they are. We don't use that as a unilateral approach, though, because that assumes that the barrier is time or the barrier is transportation. And if those are not the barriers, then that's not the program that we would want to implement in Norwalk. But that gives you an example of, once we understand what's going on in a community and what a barrier might look like, we can design something that would hopefully change that dynamic.
Sure, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Good, Mary.
Yes, it sounds very exciting. I'm sorry I couldn't make a meeting with you guys, but I do look forward to meeting with you. And I think we're going to have a good dialogue. Thank you for what you're doing.
We did we'll send another follow-up to you, Mary, and see if we can connect in the next couple of weeks.
I also want to say thank you. I think this is a really exciting partnership. Thanks, Sherelle, for coordinating and for working with them. And I guess I want to know how, how often will we be meeting with you and through your ideation phase, and also I also wonder if you ever run into any problems around budget based on some of your recommendations, just so that it was just budget season, so that's kind of why I'm asking.
Fair.
Yeah, I understand the question. Absolutely. The first question, how often we meet with you all, honestly, that's up to you. We aren't going to have anything concrete to share until we've completed our data collection and obviously done some analysis, but I don't know how often you meet as a board. Monthly, quarterly? Monthly. Okay. So it's April. Yeah, I mean, I think we can just coordinate with Sherelle about what feels like an appropriate cadence based on when we have our next sort of output of information, and how often you all would like to check in and hear the progress, whether we have a formal update that we are actively sharing, or whether it's just letting you all know what we've done in the time between our last conversation. Happy to do that too. So I think you all can let us know what's of interest.
Yeah, and we'll be talking to Sherelle too.
Yeah.
We'll probably know when those times are. So and I would also just encourage you to look at, we went through pre-COVID a strategic planning phase. I mean, we are going to revisit that strategic plan, but I would, there was, you know, a lot of surveying done and kind of focus groups done at that time. So I'd encourage you to you look at that strategic plan as part of your data collection process.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And then your question about budget, our contract, nothing that we do with you all costs you anything. So part of what we try to work within, of course, is the budget, and that should include whatever program elements we design. That's not to say we couldn't come up with something wild together that is expensive or different than what we know. But again, that would never be, that would be something we would talk about in the design phase and never be a surprise bill or anything that you all would incur without like full transparency that was something you wanted to do, but that is not that's not part of our practice. It is free to you all.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think Patsy and Geraldo,
All
I
right,
think had his hand up.
Let
before.
Geraldo go first. He was trying to get in before.
No problem. So, question, do you have a contracted time period in which you're going to be engaged with the city of Norwalk, specifically with the library?
Yeah, it's a 1-year contract right now. So it began on March 1st. So it'll run till the end of February next year. We are always open to continued engagements. And so of course, we'll start that conversation with the state long before that year is coming up. And then depending where that lands, we would talk to you all and see where things are and what might come from there. But we are not time limited in terms of how long we might engage, but this particular contract is 1 year.
And once you're finished with that period, do you leave us with some sort of guidelines or direction on which we can do outreach and increase our access?
Yeah, Venetia, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so part of our program and our process is to create a sustainable structure. We don't want something that only lasts for our partnership period. We want something that is sustainable within the library staff and the community. So that's absolutely a part of what we are working to do. And that will be a big part of the project design, whatever that project ends up being, so that not only is there buy-in, but it's able to sustain itself beyond when we are working in partnership with the Norwalk Library.
Good. My last question. When you do your data collection and data analysis, do you share that with us also so that we may know, get some idea of how to work on our own in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So once we have the data collected and we analyze it, we'll bring that to Sherelle and Norwalk Library leadership in order to go through it together. And that is part of the collaboration phase. Based on the data we've gathered and how we've analyzed it, we'll collaborate on what happens next, what that program or project might be, and how we implement it.
Great, thank you. Sounds exciting. Thank you, Patsy.
Yeah, my question was, do you have a component for a PR to get out into the community to let them know that you're doing this?
Yeah,
They're out there already.
yeah. Go ahead, Sherelle. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen anything in the paper or
Oh,
whatever.
PR, I'm sorry.
Yeah, PR.
So I spoke to Michelle. They want us to go through Michelle. Michelle is the city's PR. She wanted to wait until, we were at this phase before we started with the publicity. So I can check in with her again, her and Lamont again, to see when they think the right time.
And there would be a component of them hopefully to give you some ideas on their own through some method. I don't know how you do it with the newspaper to get people to, if they're not using the internet.
Yeah.
But those are the people that we're not reaching, right? Might not be reaching. Yeah. Okay.
That's a great point.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello, Nina. I just want to say thank you. I think this is a great opportunity and a great program. And I'm sorry I missed the interview with you this week, but
No problem. We'll catch you next week. I hope.
I'm looking forward to it because I have lots of questions.
Oh,
Thank you.
great. Yeah, truly, anyone who we didn't have a chance to speak with yet, and if we have already spoken with you, we're happy to speak again. This is really an iterative process. We are physically here for the next several weeks. So plenty of opportunities to continue to connect. And also when we're not physically here, there's plenty of opportunities to connect. So we're excited to chat with each of you.
Let us know if you need some lunch options. There's a lot of good food in Norwalk.
Always, always.
Always, yes.
There's a good place, right? Kitty Corner. You know, it's called Cucina. It's like new. It's called Cucina something. I'll send Sherelle the name. Send it to
No,
you.
I already told them. When you told me, I told them. So when I met with them at the library, I told them. I don't know where they decided to go that day, but that was one of them. Yeah.
We went to a Dominican restaurant. I think it
You
was.
went to the other one. Okay.
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 And then I went to a Jamaican restaurant, which is very close to the library.
It's actually the restaurant Moyna's talking about is about 2 doors down from that Jamaican restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of places, so you'll be in.
We eat well here.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
I love your energy. I'm so excited to work with you all. So thank you for taking time to be with us this evening, and I will look forward to our next chat together.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Have a
Thank you.
good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so moving on to I wanted to do just spend a few minutes doing a little debrief on our New Canaan trip. I want to thank everybody who came. I also want to thank everybody who came to the press conference for the aquarium. It's, you know, we have such an engaged board, and I'm super grateful for that. And so why don't we go around, maybe give everybody like just, you know, tell us a couple things that you really liked or didn't like. I think it would be nice to have a kind of a moment to talk about that trip, because we all did it. So, and I can round it out, you know, at the end, because I had some thoughts too.
Well, I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead, Judy.
I love the energy. I love the spirit of that library. It was great. And I like the layout, the way they had it laid out. Particularly love the cafe. I love that. The one thing that I found was not too good was the fact that they were taking the old library and making it into a greens, you know, which I thought, why did that make it a parking lot, you know, for the patrons? But that was the only thing other than that. And I love the idea that they had the automated check-in for the books. That was great. So I really like the atmosphere and the way they had the library laid out. They did a great job of organizing that and planning it, so that even the patrons seem to enjoy it, the way that they're excited about coming to the library, which is evident with the increase in their circulation. So that was my take on it.
Alex?
Yeah, I agree with all of JD's comments. And I thought they had thought about everything together. And I thought it was a very well integrated planning approach in which the facilities, the technology, the customer service, all of that was integrated together in a very attractive, holistic approach. So I was very impressed. I also understand that it's not a municipal library, and therefore the process they go through for bidding and planning is different. And, you know, whether it's the decals on the glass or some of the other aspects of it, they probably have had an easier time getting that through, despite increased costs that we might hear. But I thought it was very impressive. And I thought that automatic book check-in, in which the books for different departments get put in different rolling bins, and they're able to keep up with their book distribution with less staff, using technology to help do some of the menial tasks, was very, very impressive. And I hope that's something that we can duplicate.
Patsy?
Thanks, Morgan. I was really glad we went. Thank you, Morgan.
Yeah,
Well, Sherelle organized it, so thank you, Sherelle. So,
You're welcome.
actually, I thought it could be really inspirational for us as we look forward to making improvements to the main library building. And I know New Canaan, over the last few years, it's been a very difficult and sometimes contentious community project. There was a lot of discord for several years, and they've ended up with where they are. But my biggest takeaway was the focus that they designed the library around their community needs. And every community has different needs and different focuses and different cultures. And I've been to a couple of other neighboring libraries that did a similar approach, very different because they reflected their own community. So I thought it was a good refresher for us, for our own energy, to know how important it is to respond to the needs of the community. So this reach out project just sort of meshes so beautifully with this opportunity. So putting the two things together, we shouldn't lose sight of it as we move forward with our own planning.
Geraldo? You're muted.
Thanks. I really enjoyed the visit to the New Canaan Library. Was really impressed with the way how they seem to have gathered information and had a clear idea of how they wanted to operate. And it was good to see that they stuck to their plans, even like their activity center, where they spoke about not having a place where most people would probably think of a theater scenery and having layers. And they talked about just having a flat floor and having a stage and how that does work. Good. Also good to see that they have a lot of community engagement. When we were there, to be able to see things like the Tai Chi session going on, and they seem to have had a lot of, large audience, good participation. Seem to have had, a lot of good foresight. Even when I was asking them about the flooring, I've seen places where they have kids and the kids are on the floor, but the floor gets cold in the winter time. They seem to have taken that into consideration. The RFID, the whole automation process. Sometimes you see people may have an automated process, but they haven't thought through how to divide this and how to really, gain something. It was good to hear them talk about how they were able to maintain their staffing level, even though they got a much larger facility, more books, and the implementation helped them with that. So I thought a lot of good positive things that we can use and learn and use those to help us with our strategy. So thanks. So thanks for inviting us to go.
Ralph? Do you want?
I found it very interesting to see what it's like when one organization has the direction of where to go, and they don't have to go back to the town for permission. We've got a challenge ahead of us. We've got two district libraries that somehow have to be worked into the total plan. It's going to be interesting to see how we develop. We learned a lot of the things they had. That automatic book deposit I thought was fabulous. That would save a lot of time and effort. We are going to definitely have to go through a redesign phase. It's amazing that almost 4 years has gone by. But I think we learned a lot. I was amazed at the demolition they're going to have of their older facilities. I thought they looked rather nice. However, the only thing I found as a negative was the fact that all their parking is across the street from the library. You've got to cross over a highway really to get to the library. I'm hoping we have enough on site that we can take care of that.
Let's see, Laurel, you were there, right?
Yeah, as other people have said, I really love that they planned and stuck all the way through to their values, right? And that they thought a lot about that at the very beginning and made sure that whatever they did was aligned with that. I just thought that was a really powerful part. The other thing that I loved was that it was an inviting place. Except for the lobby, which I found very echoey and loud and difficult to navigate. There were too many reflective surfaces for noise, but that sort of mezzanine level, and then all of the upstairs places where you could plug in, you know, your electronics to charge them or to work, the stuff for the tweens with the round holes where they could crawl in and read, like, wasn't it Campbell's Soup that said if we can hook a person when they're young, we have them for life, right? I sort of thought that's what they're really doing with this library. They're trying to hook them so they have them for their whole life. And I thought that was really a powerful element of the design for me. So.
Mary, we missed you. I echo many of your comments. I really love what you said, Laurel, about sticking to their values. One thing that I think the director said, and talked to someone else after, but they went through, one thing that the architecture firm did was collect a group of 40 people from different parts of their town, and it wasn't just like a one and done type of engagement, which I think happens a lot with architecture, with design firms and stuff. It was a continual engagement with these 40 people with a broad range of viewpoints. So that made me think that might be something that, you know, we keep in mind, because I do think one and done is kind of, you know, it seems a little shallow sometimes. So the thing that I loved is how, I mean, it was not a huge library, but they activated all of their space for the public. And I mean, clearly they have some offices somewhere, but they're certainly not right in the center of the library. And I just thought that their space, the way they designed that space in probably, I think maybe a 40,000 square foot building, that's what they said, it was 40,000, was really remarkable. I mean, they have 9 meeting rooms, they have you know, quiet spaces, loud spaces, an auditorium for 300 people. It was just, you know, that's actually not that much bigger than our library currently. So it was that was really interesting to see. So okay. Thanks everybody. Is everybody? Oh, Sherelle, we didn't go.
Oh, that's okay.
No. What?
I loved it. I love the director's energy. I loved her focus, and just how she stuck to her guns. I love this space. I loved how some of it was just a little cozy and a little living room-ish. And then how they have the different size meeting rooms. So that, you know, and I know they said if they had a thought of it, they would have had sort of a mid-size meeting room as well. But I think for Norwalk, I know meeting rooms are hugely important. And I like their design. I also liked the way Westport did theirs as well. And as somebody mentioned, each of the cities they've done a great job with capturing, you know, their uniqueness. Like Darien is a little more conservative and they're very, you know, eco-conscious. I found New Canaan to be very chic, and Westport is, you know, pretty fancy. You know, it's an artistic town. So my takeaway is, and I think someone else said it, not doing things just because the surrounding towns are doing them. They're doing them because they understand their community. Norwalk has a very diverse community, so I think it's going to be very interesting to be able to really capture the spirit of our city. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I love what others have done, but I'm really looking forward to capturing Norwalk.
Nice. Okay, I'm putting, the Eagles parking, you all know this, but I just want to say during the board meeting that the Common Council approved on Tuesday night leasing 30 parking spaces starting July for $12,600. You know, there's been a lot of talk, and so I just wanted to say that I'll speak for myself. I think it's a really was a great opportunity, and for us to expand our parking. I said it, whether or not the city exercises the option, I think I've been to the park, I've been to the library several times when both the lots are full. So it's nice to have the extra 30 spaces. So if anyone wants to, any discussion, we can move on.
I think Geraldo.
When will that become available? You mentioned that the city is
July 1st.
Okay, July 1st. Okay.
So the next piece is the capital budget has been passed, and I'm happy to report through our collective effort, I think we've gone through this a lot of times, but the carpet and the indoor furniture are part of it. And I'm glad. Yeah. And I would like to recommend having a facilities committee of the board to work together to kind of to see, like, look at different kinds of furniture and carpet and what makes sense. And so maybe I'll put, if you take, like, have to work obviously closely with Sherelle on this, and to look at some of what we have existing furniture, new furniture, what we don't need to necessarily buy something that's like one and done, what might have a longer life that we can use in a new facility. And so, and I'll talk a little bit about this in the foundation too. So the foundation meeting as well. So I'm going to put a call out, and then please respond if you're, inclined to, like, sensitive to the way things look and the way space feels. And so we will move forward from there. Get the money.
Yeah. I just have a thought that I don't want to forget, that with whatever furniture, we really need to decide what use it's going to be, where it's going to be, and for what purpose, because it's different. Ralph keeps mentioning, we need furniture with arms for people who need that. And I'm being one of them. I remember that all the time. So that is a prerequisite before you get into actual design. It's just the needs.
Function.
The functional part.
And then
the program, where it's going and how it's going to be used, and then go to, what it's going to look like.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder. So, okay. I just wanted to let you know that the governance, we are going to be planning a meeting hopefully next week. So that is that. And then the Blue Teapot. So that's our governance committee. So we're planning a meeting next week. So my real hope is by either through email or by next meeting, we will have a plan ready or a letter ready. Blue Teapot, RFP draft, Geraldo, Sherelle and I met. And, well, as you know, the Blue Teapot is officially closed, as of March 30th. The three of us met and we went through the RFP line by line. And are in the process of making some edits to that RFP. We'll, circulate that with Lamond in the city, as well. There is one, issue that, kind of needs to be resolved, and that issue is, when I spoke with Nihol, her contract technically goes until September 1st. So she seems to think that she can, has a lease on that space until September 1st. So I just wanted to get some guidance from the city on, when, obviously people are sitting there now and things like that. And, but if she said she may want to do some tea parties or things like that. So I just need to get some guidance from the city of when the official kind of move out date is. So, any questions on that? Okay,
Mona.
now, let's see.
Yeah.
Geraldo has a question.
Yeah,
I was just gonna suggest that we should take that into consideration when we look at the lease about breaking the lease, because if somebody's like that, we should have something specifying how we would handle that. 'Cause
yeah,
clearly
moving
she-
forward, I think that's a good idea. That's
She has left before the end of her term, so we should be able to specify how that's going to impact anybody that should do that.
Okay, I'm making a note of it, and we can make, the three of us can kind of make a note of it and move from there. So there are some action items. Sherelle, do you?
Sure. I don't know if we want to table this. I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at it, but I'll briefly go through the unattended adult policy. Was the idea of Vicky Otis. And I do think it's necessary. It could be a standalone or it could be an addendum to the unattended child policy, which I also put in the packet. So this would basically, stipulate that adults who are not accompanied by children should not be in the children's or the teen departments. And then our room booking policy was very old and just a little roughly written. So I just updated it so that it, I should say we updated it so that it wasn't so many pages and, just pretty succinct and to the point. So basically stating that we do allow, use of our community rooms and also our meeting rooms, that the nonprofits are not charged a fee, others are. And it gave, it lists in a nice format and not just written out. It lists the room capacity and the prices, and it lists our stipulations.
So I'm gonna ask to table this for next time.
For sure.
Because I haven't had a chance to. look at
Yeah. I
Alex?
have a, yeah. Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Alex?
Yeah, I agree with tabling it, but just as a question. So on the nonprofit issue, I think obviously we should not charge them for using the room unless they're going to do fundraising in it.
Right.
And I since I didn't have a chance tonight to read the policy closely, is that?
So, yeah,
made-
and I'll look to you, to your expertise as well, but that is listed in there. So
Okay, good.
anybody who is like selling things or anybody who's looking to generate more business, those types of people will be charged.
Okay, good. I wasn't assuming it wasn't in there. I didn't have a chance to look.
No, I
And
understand.
I'm glad that's taken care of. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but I mean, your input would be great too, Just
I'll
to
look
help
at it.
with some
Okay.
of the wording and the legalese.
Okay. But I agree with that, with tabling it.
Okay.
Patsy?
Yeah, I just had a thought on the unattended adult book, being a grandmother and wanting to go to get books for my grandkids, whatever, that would negate anybody
No,
wanting to do that.
that's in there too. So that's in there that, you know, if you're going in, you know, to
Yeah,
like
but-
somebody who may be doing research or somebody who's getting a book for a child, but just no lingering and just kind of hanging out. doing
Okay, because that's hard to monitor.
For
That's,
sure.
yes, that's a real dicey issue.
You know, it is if it's handled, you know, properly, because there have been incidents where some people are just hanging out in.
Yeah, that's really bad, and that's great that you're addressing that. I just thought, okay, you got to have a way to deal with
Yep, it's
somebody
in
that
there.
isn't, yeah, okay.
So have a look, but
Okay.
you know, we're open to suggestions as well. So, you know, we try to be cognizant of things like that. So there
Mm.
may be a teacher who needs to go in
Yeah,
to
right.
get books for research. And as you said, you know, the kids may be in school and somebody may need to just go grab the books. So, you know, so that is covered. So, you know, next month we can talk about it.
I will say, I mean, I haven't read it, but I spent hours in the library as a teenager by myself. I mean, it just feels like, and I think a lot of people did. I don't know. I mean, so I'm
It's not
curious
hindering
about why the
children.
teenager, huh?
It's not hindering children. It's basically keeping them safe.
But you're saying without parents, they shouldn't.
No,
No, the
It's the
opposite.
other way around.
Oh, okay,
No
good.
parents
Sorry, I
without
totally
children.
misunderstood. Okay, clearly I haven't even really. Okay, good. Forget it. Just forget it. Geraldo.
yeah, just wanted to mention with the questions I'm hearing about the charging for rooms, et cetera, or for space. So I think it's interesting. One of the things I saw in New Canaan is that they had space available also where people that work in the daytime,
Yeah.
could use space. And I can tell you, there are libraries that do that. I did some consulting in New Jersey, and we would have all our meetings in libraries, and we never had to pay for that. We found that interesting that different places have a lot of young people, or a lot of startup business, and we would rent a room. There were 4 or 5 people, sometimes 2 to 3 people, and just not rent a room, but request a room. Just booked it ahead of time and never paid anything for that. There was a resident from the community that where we used the library. One of the members of our team actually lived there, but it's interesting. So as we look at different options or different needs, I
Mhm.
think that's something good to look at also.
No, perfect. And I agree. The meeting rooms, we probably shouldn't charge for, but I think our bigger rooms, we should charge for.
Okay. So should we make, would anyone like to make a motion to table this until next time?
I'll so move. I
Second,
so move.
Patsy moves and Alex seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have then, we did the Sono GNLB renovation update.
Are we gonna do the Webster Lot apartment parking?
Oh, wait, you know what? We totally skipped over that because I thought, okay, yes, let's go back to the Webster Lot apartments. I'm gonna let Janie kind of speak to this, so. Okay, so let me preface it by saying, Janie and Mary graciously wrote the letter for asking the parking authority to save us, to save spots for us as we have them now. And I think, have you circulated that letter or?
No, I haven't sent it out. Yeah, and I will forward it to everybody. But I'll talk to to let you know about it. It's basically, we know, because we heard about this before, prior to this, that they're building apartments in the Webster parking lot, as well as going to have a garage with 1,100, I guess, space garage.
Basically, it's
Yeah.
gonna be double.
Yeah. And so we already are getting 10 spaces. The city authorized us for 10 spaces. So the question is, what happens with the spaces that we'll have for library when we still need parking for the library? Solo library, we still need the parking. So the letter is saying, you're building these spaces. We have the patrons coming in and programs. So if you take those spaces away, what happens? So we're basically asking that they give us the space, at least. And I said 10, but we both say 10, but it could be more. So the question is, should we be asking for more?
I
Or-
think so, for sure. Because we need parking for the staff, which is up to 10 right now, but the lot is used as the overflow. So like when we have programs, we have a 22 space lot right now, and 2 of which are handicapped, but we need overflow for when there are programs.
Yeah. Mary, did you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, overall, in essence, while I am not totally in support of these 400 or whatever units that are going to be built on that Webster Street lot, we just need to make positively sure that in the early stages of the city planning, and I know, it's a very early stages in this project, that the library is included in there. That there will be no excuses, because we need the parking spaces. And I think if we address it at a very early stage, we can make positively sure that we are included in the whole design and the whole concept of what's going to happen.
Patsy, you wanna, I think.
So I agree, and I attended the public hearing, I don't know how many weeks ago, 2 weeks, three weeks ago, to articulate what you have just expressed. Because as you recall, I was instrumental in helping getting, I had a connection with the parking authority at the time, and got the 10 spaces in the parking lot, and also the 14 spaces in the Yankee Doodle garage. So I just spoke to that one issue that is in the record. However, I think that we as a full board need to get a letter, and I have talked to a couple of people about that since that we get a full letter out to multiple people and organizations, the redevelopment, the economic development, the planning committee, everybody that is going to be involved in this process, that we formally make this, rather than we have to be upfront and immediate, and it's super important. And it's not just the parking that they have to focus on. It is interacting our library with their design, so that that there's an entrance from the inner core of courtyard of this development out to the street to get to the library, so that we don't have the same issue that we have up in Belden Avenue with bad access from the Yankee Doodle garage. So we need to get on that right away. So I think it's also good if we could get the district we should probably communicate with the taxing district and get them on board to articulate this issue as well.
Good point.
I will
Sorry.
I will speak with the second taxing district.
Yeah, and I'll get a list of who should receive this letter from us, but I would like it to be from the whole board.
It wasn't going to be from them. They just took the
They
initiative.
just voted.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's gonna come
Well,
from.
when I jumped on it and went went to the, because it's gonna happen and either sooner or later. And so we need to really be early to the issue.
Geraldo?
You're on mute. He doesn't know he's.
No, I don't have any comments on this.
Oh, okay. Alex?
Yeah, I just want to really, I was going to say some things that Patsy said. First of all, I think we should ask for a larger number of spaces.
Mm.
And we can figure out what's the capacity of the lot now and what's the capacity of the garage going to be, and if it's going to be double or something.
It is double, yeah.
That we ought to, increase our ask by a comparable amount. Second, I'm not sure that, maybe Patsy knows this, but I'm not sure the parking authority in the end is going to be responsible.
No, I don't think they will be.
It'll
No,
be the
that's not-
developer who gets the contract. And therefore, the redevelopment agency, to me, is the principal viaduct into what gets into that land disposition agreement with the preferred developer. And by getting it to the redevelopment agency, we make sure it ends up in whatever
record.
RFP goes out, and different developers have to respond, and we can look at their responses and make that part of the evaluation of what's coming back. I'm amazed how this came about. My administration as mayor, we did a whole Webster Street plan, and all of a sudden Governor Lamont comes down and throws $1 million at us, and we're going forward. So let's go. But I think that again, redevelopment and increasing the spaces are two key issues.
So just so you know, right now, it's, the lot is 650 parking spaces, but they're proposing that their garage is gonna be 1,000, I'm sorry, 1,100.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's double our request.
So let's just, because that was one of the things that we definitely wanted to ask the board tonight was how many spaces should we request? So we're saying 20? Is that where we're kind of?
At
agreeing?
least.
At least
At
20,
least.
at least 20, yeah.
Because 10, if it's 10 for staff, and then that only leaves 10 for others.
But then staff is not, you have 22 behind the building.
Yeah.
But part of this in the planning stage, and I'm sure Alex will, from his experience with it, is they're going to be using the fact that the library is there and that the post office is there, that and any other kind of municipal or public space as part of their whole planning proportion numbers and the rest of it. So the fact that we have meeting rooms and we have the auditorium on the set where they held this hearing, by the way, they held it in our library, and a couple of people, after I said about parking, they agreed with me because they couldn't find a parking space in order to come to the meeting. So that kind of thing has to be articulated, that they include the function and the advantages of the library being where it is, benefiting their
Right.
project. And the
I think
developer,
that's what-
Alex,
Yeah.
Alex, the developer, I believe was present, and I haven't had a chance to check to see if they have already been selected, but a developer was there full force.
That's
So
a good
I
point
think
to put
that's
in
a
the
The
letter.
presentation.
That's a really excellent point. I
very
really
good
like
point.
it. And I think that we'll put some language into the letter, kind of talking about a little bit of more language in the letter, talking about that, and then circulate it to the board for feedback.
Okay, great.
Okay, am I going out of order now? I'm sorry, I have my other screen up. So now I'm gonna pass it over to Sherelle.
Okay, so we already have the update on the Sono repurposing project. And in your packet, it just has the bid process for the Greater Norwalk Literacy Volunteers renovation. So they haven't gotten to that process, but there's a document in there giving you dates and just very brief updates, if anyone has any questions. Okay. Also,
Sorry, Patsy, were you gonna say something?
Well, that made me think, exactly what did we end up getting for the record in our minutes? I think it's important that we
so
know.
we'll end
what-
up getting an extra room. So we voted on that a while back. We had.
No, I was going to the capital budget, we got the carpeting and we got furniture and we
Oh.
didn't get a truck. We should just get that in our minutes.
Gotcha. So, so they, what did they give us, the library system we did get, which we're grateful for. Let me just pull that up. They had taken out the carpet after I saw them there, after looking at the pictures, he had added the carpet, and want to thank you very much for for writing the letter on behalf of the board, because I think that helped. Let's see, I'm sorry, I should have had that in front of me. Give me 1 second.
Well, we got the digitization and we got,
For 1 year, right?
For one, I mean, they approved it, but not all in one lump sum. So it's approved, but we, like before, it'll be, they'll pay for, I think it's a 5-year plan. So they opted not to pay for all of it up front. It was like a $6,000
Yeah,
savings.
right.
but yeah, they opted not to do
Yeah.
that. Let me just go back.
And we got the furniture and we
The
got the,
furniture was put back in.
and the carpeting and,
there were
no
some
truck.
technology things, I think. There were some technology updates that I saw.
yeah, that system.
3D
yeah.
printers and things.
That was from last year, so the 3D printers in there, the digitization, no library van, the library system was included,
Okay.
I think those were the main things.
the main
Okay.
ones, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. I just thought it would be, everybody should be focused on what we got, so.
Yeah, just give me one, I just want to make sure, just for the record, that we have, I'm sorry, my computer is not cooperating with me here.
Oh, I see Alex's hand is up, so maybe.
Yeah, I didn't know whether they're gonna go back on the greater literacy volunteers.
Yeah, let's go back to that. So
Okay.
I think that was, we had a little tangent there, so
Yeah.
let's go
All
back
right,
to MLB.
I said, I don't know whether you were acting, I didn't get a chance to read it. So, I don't
It's
know,
just a very short thing that Neil put together. So there's gonna be a pre-bid conference on April 20th. Like deadlines for questions would be April 27th. The submissions, the electronic submissions will be due on May 2nd. The hard copy submissions deadline is May 4th. Common Council review, May 9th. And they're looking to start the project roughly June 19th and to have it completed by August 25th.
so do we get a view of it at the next meeting?
So you agreed on,
they already did.
we agree, you guys agreed on what plan was proposed about 2 meetings ago? But I can submit it. Did I even? I'm trying to
Yeah,
think.
it was probably about maybe 4 meetings ago, but we definitely talked and looked at the plans and agreed upon a
Yes.
plan.
So.
Oh,
this
wait, no,
is
I
the-
did. They're in the packet. It's in the packet. It's
Yeah,
small.
I didn't have a chance to read the packet because it,
It's just
in the-
basically the same thing. So I just put it in there just for your convenience. It's basically what you agreed on a few meetings ago. The basic update is just the plan of action. But I put the other information in just for something that you've already approved, just for convenience.
This is the bid process, right? The bidding process you're talking
Correct.
about. Yeah,
But Alex was asking about the design.
I know, but we're beyond that.
Yeah,
They're
we're
going
not-
out to bid.
You sure?
no, what I was asking about was, do we get a chance? when the bids come back, do we have any?
Oh, for sure, yes,
Oh,
yes,
Because you
yes.
said that, in May, before our next meeting, there's do we get a chance to see what the bids were and act on it one way or the other?
For sure.
Well, the bid opening is public, so we can have somebody go to that so that we have the direct information. And then hopefully,
Yeah, but I can also submit, I can submit the bids as well, so you can see what's out there. Because we'll need a committee, that includes Neil, to go through them. So it's similar to how we chose Silver Petroselli. We had a group, that went through the bids and we talked it out and hashed it out and decided on Silver Petroselli, so we can do the same with this one.
Would anyone like to, are you requesting people to join a committee?
I'm not requesting at this point, I'm just saying, just answering Alex's question.
Okay.
I mean, but if you wanted to do that, that's fine.
It, so, so I guess we should have, you're saying that like last time we had a committee that looked at the bids and made a selection. So is there anybody on the board who would like to work with Sherelle on this process?
And Neil would be included as well.
Neil would be included as well.
And
so,
Neil is from Guardian, just for the record, Neil Rennie.
yeah. Well, think about it and we'll put an email out there. I'll put an email out there both with the facilities committee and the GNLB building committee or Reno committee rather. Okay.
Okay, so Alan Huff would have been with us this evening, but he had class, and Alan is the general manager for South Norwalk Electric Works, also known as SNU. So the district has been looking at having electric charging stations in Sono. And so they're experimenting with a handful of them. And one of the areas chosen was the South Norwalk parking lot. What they thought it would be a good location. So they noted that the chargers would have to be open to the public. And they said they would provide more at a later date. So I think I informed you when Neil, when Guardian and SNU came out to just survey the area, just the parking lot to see if it would be feasible. And they said they would get back to us later and actually present to the board. I did ask him to come tonight, but he is in school, finishing up his degree pretty soon. So he's in school on Tuesday evenings. So hopefully he may be able to come to the next one or the meeting thereafter whenever they have information to share.
so,
Okay, go ahead, Patsy.
so we're talking about parking.
I
And,
know,
and the need for parking, so this is sort of counterintuitive here. If it was controllable that you had to be going into the library to use the library and could do that, rather than just somebody come and spend an hour there and take up a space, we gotta pay attention to that. So I don't know if it's a great idea for us.
right.
And maybe this developing company can have 50 places where people can charge their I don't think we should diminish our parking in any way, basically.
Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea. I think I mentioned before, I asked Mayor Rilling to put one in the Belden parking lot also. I think the idea that you come and charge your car and read a book or use the library is a great way to sort of combine these two activities and make the library more convenient and attractive to electric car owners, which is, after all, the trend, the government wants to have a majority of vehicles sold by, who knows, 2030 or something, electric vehicles. So I think this fits into a good state and national environmental policy, but it's also a cool, I think, way to tell people, charge your car and read a book, or charge your car and, come use the library. I think it fits very well. I think, Patsy, there may be enough
What?
other charging stations, other places that people who want to just park their car and come back, could do that elsewhere. And, we could do some really good promotion with the district about supporting the library and protecting the environment that I think would fit very nicely. So I think this is a very, very positive suggestion.
Geralda?
Yeah, I had responded to this in writing earlier too. I thought that a good suggestion would be to have the electric charging stations in the front of the library on Washington, which will eliminate taking the limited parking space. I know there are times it's a challenge parking there, and there's space that are currently metered parking. So the impact to people in the library would be actually beneficial if somebody really wanted electric charging and they were taking one of those spaces. They're not going to pay for the parking as they would have in the past. So I think, and it would also create more visibility if you have the charging stations on Washington in front of the library. You can still have the options like Alex referenced about parking and going to read a book, or using the library while you're having the car charged. And I think as people ride by there, it would be very visible that there are parking available or charging stations available there.
I have a lot of reservations. I have an electric car. There are spots, there are several electric chargers over at the East Norwalk Library. And I have a charger at home, but whenever it's not working or something's happening, we drive over to that lot and it's frequently full, and unless you have a Tesla, it doesn't take an hour to charge your car. It takes, it's a very important point. It takes like almost overnight, or like you drop it off at 10 o'clock and it's like 5 o'clock until the full car is fully charged. I mean, that technology might improve over the years, but that's what it is right now. So my feeling is that while I think it's like a nice kind of, I get that it would be a nice PR thing. I think the reality of like losing a spot for hours, like possibly every day. I just feel like Sono has so many other places where they could put electric charging stations, and just having one in the back is like kind of, I mean, one spot is a lot to us, and so, or one or two is a lot for us. And what happens, even where I work, they have electric charging stations, and it gets very confusing because people who don't have electric cars park in the electric car spots. So then the utility of the electric car spots is like, well, what's the point? Because I go and I'm like, well, what's the point? There's a car parked here that's not an electric car, and I have an electric car and I can't park there. It's just the actual being an electric car owner and seeing this all play out is, you will lose your parking to people who are not using the library. So, because there aren't enough chargers around. But it would be great if they did it at Sono or anywhere else. So that's just my feeling on that.
I like the idea I'm sorry, Geraldo, go ahead.
I was just going to say to Mona's response, I think Mona, if it takes the spot of a metered parking, it's not a big impact because the majority of the people going to the library avoid that. They'll go and park over, without being given guidance, go park over by the grocery store, do something else, but not park in the metered parking. So I think
They have to pay across the street too. It's not free.
Yeah. But I think it's just not at least you won't have a negative impact on people coming to the
The
library.
library, I understand. I do like the idea if we could figure out the parking. I was just thinking maybe we tell them they can park overnight. Or like Alex said, they have to use the library if they, if they're using it during the day. But I do like the idea.
So is this something that we, sorry, Geraldo, your hand is still up?
Shouldn't be, but it is.
Okay. Does anyone else have any thoughts? So how do we proceed? Should we, do we need to let them know
Well, they
right
haven't
away
even-
or?
Yeah, they're just in the thought process. We don't even know if we're gonna be the chosen place, but I do think they should come and speak to us so that we can ask
Yeah.
them those questions.
Okay, that's
But I
good.
did invite them. I invited Alan, but like I said, he had class tonight, so we can invite him another time.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, and then the final thing that I have is, and I'm trying to be it's 8:29. Is the Especially for Norwalk Seniors program, which we are so very proud of. Just looking at the growing population of Norwalk senior citizens. And I specifically was thinking about many questions. I always get the questions whenever I'm on the desk about estate planning. So just to go through, it was also in Nancy on Norwalk today. So there's a glaucoma seminar, preventing falls for seniors. The armchair travel, which I'm so in love with right now. So, they can be in our auditoriums and just view these lovely pictures of Stockholm, Ireland, Yosemite, and Yellowstone National Park. The two places, Stockholm and Ireland, they will have treats specifically from those places. And with Yosemite and Yellowstone, there'll be a craft afterward. Recognizing and preventing caregiver strain. We hear about that all the time. When someone's their moms or dads or anybody's primary caregiver, it's pretty stressful. Housing options for seniors is going to be a big one too. Do you go to assisted living? Can you stay in your home? Do you go to a full, senior center? And then staying safe at home as we age, if we choose to stay at home. Disability planning, the power of attorney and healthcare representative clinic. The cataracts seminar for seniors, how to administer estate. And then we have two art programs. There's a one-off, which is a neurographic art. It's a form of art therapy. And then the series actually run by Colleen Haynes, who is a Silvermine artist. This is I'm just so fascinated with her. She created this whole thing, and it's creating art through touch for the vision impaired. And it's using sensory code in a kit she created called Nana's Painting Kit. The art classes will guide the vision impaired to use the sense of touch for color decisions and painting designs. So all of these are on Tuesdays from 1 to 2 p.m. And it runs April through December.
I'm
I
thrilled.
got lots of feedback on it. Pardon?
That's fabulous.
It was a group effort, and what I loved, the women that Moina actually introduced me to some, she jumped right on it when we were talking about it. She introduced me to, tell me her name.
It's Barbara
blanking.
Goldstein Coteen, and she and I went to high school together. She's a lawyer. She did a session on estate planning at the Stanford Library, and I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, can you do this here? And then I introduced her to Sherelle, and because I know Sherelle had been talking about some of that programming. But the other interesting thing about Barbara is she's the chair of Stepping Stones. So I've been thinking about ways to ask her for some more passes. So yeah, I'm thrilled too about it. I think it's great. You took like, you know, you had some ideas, you took like a one-off thing that happened at Stanford Library, and you made it into a like several month rich program that's not just a one and done, and it's really,
It's
I'm very
fascinating.
excited and proud of the library for holding something like
I
that.
do want to say we didn't copy Stanford. It came from like some of the questions that the patrons were asking. But your idea enhanced it, like Barbara, but I just have to say with Miss Santa Maria, Barbara, and Judy, we had one meeting, and then everyone had their homework. And then we were able to put this together. We did not have to meet. I just have to give these women praises. They knew what they were doing. They were very passionate about it. And like I said, we didn't have to meet several times to get this done. We had one big meeting and we had a few emails and we were there. And I enjoy that type of, those type of meetings.
I just thought that if you had some kind of a questionnaire at these lectures to tie in with the Libraries Without Borders, to get input from the seniors or whoever comes of
Right.
what other kind of programming or what needs, that we might gain some good information.
Oh,
that way.
wonderful. And so one more that we're adding is Alzheimer's. Many people remember the program that I did maybe 10 years ago at Sono. So we're working with them. I'm not sure if we'll add it maybe like on Saturdays, or maybe we'll just add it when we begin again in 2024. But we have Alzheimer's in there as well.
Let us know let us know how it's going.
Yeah.
So-
Or you can come and find out. I
Well,
have one
I'm planning,
lady-
when my dad comes back, I'm planning to bring him to several, so.
I had a lady email me. She said, I'm only 54, but I have to come to these programs. So I said, we won't turn you away.
Yeah, sounds
She
great.
qualifies under AARP, right?
Yeah, I'm getting that magazine now. Okay,
Thank you, Moina. I really appreciate your support and introducing me to Judy.
well, I have another introduction for you coming soon, so.
Awesome.
Okay. So I think, are we done? We're done, right?
That's it for me.
Okay, I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, see you at the next meeting.
Okay.